Hi, everyone, and good afternoon. Welcome to the special edition of Unique Peace. Today I am joined by psychic medium MaryAnn DiMarco. She is well known. She's an author, a best-selling author of Believe, Ask, Act, and The Medium Mentor. I have a very well-loved copy, my favorite, or one of them anyway. And we also have a teacher together. And we also believe that healing is the best medicine. So join me in welcoming MaryAnn DiMarco. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Welcome you. Welcome for having me. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome
I
everybody.
am I am very grateful and honored that you have joined us today to talk peace.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So you and I do share a teacher, Pat Longo, here on Long Island. She
hmm
is awesome. She has a knack for pulling out the best and guiding in a gentle but firm way. And
I like that you said firm way. Yes, gentle but firm is definitely Pat.
yeah, she is. She for the I was under her wing for about a year, and she kept on telling me your hands are hot. Now at the time my hands were not hot to me. Your hands are hot, do something with them. Your hands are hot, do something with them. And I didn't know what she meant. But my next teacher, who was my Reiki Master Teacher, I was like, oh, okay. When my hands caught fire, I'm like, I got it. But Pat did not let up. She did not let up
She knows what
at
she's
all.
talking about. She knows what she's talking about for sure.
She's talking about for sure. So I know that you had not a similar experience with Pat, but you were drawn to Pat and she is your teacher. And you were going through a lot when you went to her. You
hmm
experienced a loss, you were in the middle of chaos, and that's usually how it happens for us. We know for a long time, but we don't do anything with it until the center of our world, us, collapses.
Seems like a good time to seek some guidance, right? When everything
Right.
kind of falls apart.
And you delve into the story a little bit more in depth in Believe, Ask, Act, but can you share with us kind
hmm
of journey to
Yeah.
where you are now?
Sure, it's been quite a ride. I was very fortunate to grow up with a mother who is incredibly open to spirituality. So this was not an unusual feeling or subject matter for me to delve into. However, I didn't know what to do with all of these abilities. I was lost in knowing how to reel them in and truly understand how I can utilize them, not only for others but for myself. So when my world got crazy. I was going through a divorce. We were going through deep grief. We had lost my father-in-law at the time. I had an appointment for a medium. A friend of mine had made an appointment, and that appointment fell through. And she said, "Go to this woman. She's who this medium goes to." So I thought, okay, it was perfect timing for a reading, even though the appointment had been made a year prior. It was perfect timing, and I said, "Okay, I'll go." And when I called Pat, I said, you're a medium, right? I'm supposed to, should I bring pictures? I really hadn't been read a lot in my life, so I didn't really know what to do. And she said, "Oh, I'm not a medium. I am a person who teaches people how to get in touch with their own psychic abilities. I'm a healer." And I quite automatically said to her, "I think I'm supposed to see you now." It kind of just flowed out. When I met her and I had this incredible healing experience with her, and saw my father. I write about this in Believe, Ask, Act. When I saw him in full apparition, my father-in-law, and he said, "Get ready, here we go. Get ready, kid." I didn't know what he meant. She even said to me, "Are you ready for this ride?" Just based on what we had talked about, I started seeing things and telling her what I was seeing during the reading. I decided to take classes with her, and it unlocked all the answers that I was looking for, and validation that I was looking for when it came to my psychic medium abilities, for sure.
And that wonderful ride has led you to two best-selling books. Like I said, I have both of them, but this one is well loved.
That's
It's
the
well
way it
loved.
should be. That's why I wrote that book, to look that way for people. Yes.
And so, what guided you to do this book? I know you teach, so this is like the Cliff Notes for class.
It is the Cliff Notes for class. It's a great way to just to describe it. I started to find through my readings that more and more people were very curious about how they themselves can make a connection. And Believe, Ask, Act touched upon that. But this was more about, and really my guides tell me to write books. So this was about how can we wake them up? How can we show them what their own abilities are and that they have access to them? And anybody, not just psychic mediums or healers, but anybody. And that's why I wrote this book, because I didn't have access to that, when I was trying to figure out what this was. Nobody was really explaining to me how to do this. I mean, Pat did. I finally found Pat. But prior to that, I read psychics books. I tried to figure it out, and there was really nothing. So I wrote this book, and I had so much fun writing it because my books are channeled. And it was just a great space for me to say, if you can't work with me or you can't find a class of like-minded people and you're a little lost, here you go. Use this book, and maybe this will give you a head start, a jump start.
Yes, and I have recommended this book to several of my friends who I know are gifted and they don't know what to do. I've recommended it because I know how sometimes it's difficult to find the right teacher because you always want someone who resonates with you, and you kind of have that nice vibe, or you're not going to get the lessons.
Right.
So,
Agreed. Yep.
and I agree with you. Pat is very good. Although I will say with me, she kind of threw me in the deep end.
She throws everybody in the deep end. She threw me in the deep end too. Her ears must be ringing right now. She's
She
probably
must
thinking,
be.
who's talking about me? This psychic vibe that she's getting. I think that's the only way. Students ask me all the time, how can I get started? And my answer is always you start when you start. And I think Pat has a great way of forcing that narrative just to get just a little push in the right direction, ever so Long Island gently, which is probably not gently for most people.
No. But she finds her way.
She
She
does.
finds a
She
way
does
to reach
indeed. Yep.
all of us. And so you go through this chaotic time. You start
Mhm.
taking classes with Pat. Things start growing and taking off.
Mm.
And on this journey, especially with everything you were going through, like I said, I think it's when everything seems like it's falling apart, it's when it's trying to fall into place. And that's about when I met her as well. Right, I met her right before things started falling apart for me.
Mm.
But that's what helped everything fall into place on my journey. And along the way, you find bits and pieces of what makes you peaceful. So in your journey, it's like, how do you define peace and how do you find peace?
I
Are those
define peace as an inner contentment that is never up for challenge or debate. No matter what is going on in my life, and I have had chaotic things happen, I've had the most amazing things happen in my life. There's something about the inner knowing and the foundation in that solar plexus, in that root chakra down, that just makes me feel good and grounded. And to me, that is contentment. It is where I find true happiness. It is where my peacefulness lies. It is the most authentic part of myself that I am giving myself permission to honor, and that other people are honoring around me. It's a really amazing feeling of peace amongst the chaos of this earth. And it's inward for me. It's inward for me.
wonderful. And again, how do you find peace? Like, what do you do to bring you to that inner contentment?
Really depends on what I'm experiencing. Sometimes, just for the most part, and an umbrella answer would be when I am most authentic to myself and who I am as a person. That is where I find peace. That's how I find my peace in any given moment. How can I get to the most authentic parts of myself? And honestly, that's not always pretty seen. That doesn't mean I'm like oming my way to peace every moment. That means I'm honoring my chaotic, crazy self. I'm honoring, yes, the funny parts of myself. I can laugh at myself. I can look at myself as a mom and, be there for my children and my family, which is my most greatest joy and a huge part of my inner peace. And I use different techniques that my spirit guides have showed me: walking, listening to music, breath work, writing, all types of things that get me to this place of peace. And but the biggest part of all of that is great trust in the universe. Huge
Yes.
trust. When I move into trust and love in the universe, that I am here for a reason, that my life has purpose, that we are all joined together in this space, I find a lot of peace in that thought.
And that is key. And we'll talk about that in just 2 seconds. I would just want to acknowledge Grace Scrella, who is
Okay.
watching this show.
Hi,
And
Grace.
I love Grace. She is awesome. She's awesome. She's before. So trust.
Trust.
That is hands down a continuing lesson for all of us, but one of the hardest lessons.
It's very
Uh,
difficult.
it's one of those, well, I do trust you, but I want to control everything.
Of course. You're human. So do I. Wouldn't that be great? We could
Wouldn't it
find
be
a
great?
balance of control. Well, we hear these words like control and surrender and all these things, right? I think trust starts for me, and if we're speaking about it just in the spirituality space, it's about trusting and knowing that you are not alone, that we have this amazing team on the other side with guides and loved ones and angels and source and spirit, and they're all around you. And that trust, I have to be steadfast in that trust, or I wouldn't be able to do this work.
Right.
That's where it all begins. And it's just an unspoken trust. It's not something that I can prove on a daily basis. It's not something that I want to debate. I just know that I trust them, and that I know that I have the ability to make that connection to lead me to beautiful areas of peace in my life, and so many other things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I find when I don't trust or I ignore my intuition, that's when things go haywire.
That's right. And you'll
They
just
take
learn
a
a big old
left turn.
lesson. That's right.
Yes.
And that left turn will teach you a big old lesson, and you can make it productive. And the idea is to the next time to remember to get ahead of that hindsight and
Yes.
trust that you know what you're doing. Your claircognizance knows.
Absolutely. I am very in tune with all of my clairs except for the taste. I don't have the taste. I'll leave that to you. I have all the others very clearly. But it's very funny. Since I would say about my son's age, about 16, my stepdad would always tell us, never ignore your gut, because you don't want to look back in a jail cell going, dang, I should have listened to myself.
Darn it.
And that was like, that came out of him. I was like, okay.
I mean, it's true. It
Yes.
can also be a very valuable lesson.
Yes.
It's a great tool. I think we have to experience hindsight and make the left turn and wind up in a temporary jail timeout, whatever you call it in life, in order for us to hone in on that ability and really fine tune it, so that the next time, we make a right.
Yeah. And the key is to remember it is usually subtle, and it will not always make sense.
Absolutely. Hands down. It will not always make sense. And I've learned to just go, all right. That's what
I've learned to tell my clients and remind myself, I'll tell my clients, if it seems outlandish, do that.
It's pushing you out of your comfort zone. And the fear that you feel attached to it is married with a little excitement, and you're white knuckling a little bit, but your inner knowing is saying, you're supposed to do this. Please do that. Please take the next step. Yeah.
So in that vein, how do you help others find peace?
I first tell them they have to want to welcome the peace into their lives. We are accountable. We have to remember that spirituality is a tool to be used in order to find various feelings or spaces that are good in our life. But we have to remember that we ourselves are accountable. We are co-creators in the universe. There's no I in team. So you have to be willing to welcome that peace into your life. And that should be part of your perspective in life, and how you talk about peace, how you talk about your life changing, transforming into a more peaceful space for yourself has to be part of your own narrative. And so we want to speak it into truth. And we want to know that those words And those intentions will lead to signs and symbols and breadcrumbs that we can follow, that the universe will provide for us. We have to acknowledge them, and then we have to say yes. So I always tell my students that you are an intricate part of whatever it is that you're trying to manifest in your life, and in this case, peace. But we have to cue the universe and say, I'm ready. I'm
Yes.
ready. I want this in my life. I deserve this. I'm worthy of this in my life. Give yourself permission to receive that peace. And then you get to work on the roadblocks as to why you might be preventing that from happening, or maybe there's a lesson that needs to be learned in order to open more peaceful moments in your life. Are you not acknowledging peaceful moments? What's your perspective on peace? What does it mean? Are you not looking at the small little things in life that might be very peaceful, so that you can express gratitude for those and then watch those moments grow?
And you just said something very key there, and that is, are you expressing gratitude?
Mm-hmm. We must. A
That,
peaceful moment that maybe your life is just, it's crazy right now. And maybe just one morning you had about an hour to yourself of not dealing with whatever stress is coming your way, whatever tough feelings you might be dealing with. And you just sat in front of the window and you were able to have a good cup of coffee or whatever your morning looks like. Maybe it was 10, 15 minutes, an hour. Are you saying thank you in that moment? Because the more we say thank you, the more we give gratitude, the more we attract those types of moments into our lives. They grow. Gratitude makes things grow.
yes. Yes. And that's also kind of a tough lesson, especially when you're going through a tough time.
Yeah,
It's
it's not
hard.
easy. It's
It's
not
very
easy. It's not easy because sometimes we just want to tell the universe,
a thing.
a thing or two, a thing or two. And I think we should. I think it's important to express those feelings as well. You need to go there. We just want to edit it and answer it with something from higher self. All we are saying is give peace a chance. Exactly. Yes, give it a chance for yourself. You deserve it. And I again, it's about perspective, owning your words, owning your energy, and that could be really hard. And that's okay. It's not supposed to always be easy.
No,
Yeah.
no. And I've noticed in myself and in my clients and with my son and just in the people around me, what it's like trying to help them find peace. And sometimes the listening skills can be a challenge, but trying to help them avoid the hindsight doesn't help them find the peace. But especially with my son, I don't know about your kids. I'll point something out. I'm totally and completely wrong. And then after the whole event happens, yeah, you were right. It's like, okay.
I think that's mother's intuition too, right?
Yeah.
Mother knows best. And that I love that. And I hear you have teenagers, and mine are in their 20s now. And I think that we can intuitively, as parents, as friends, as children, as siblings, lead people to the water. But really, it's up to them to drink. We're not here to figure out somebody else's contract. We can only provide. I always tell people, teach what you have learned, give what you have learned to others in your own authentic way, whatever that looks like. And if they want to ingest that and receive it and take the lesson in, great. And if they don't, we have to kind of honor that too, because this is their life to figure things out. And sometimes having them skip from 0 to 60 doesn't help anybody. They need to learn, right, every little step of the way. I know I'm the same way with my children. I'm like, you're not a psychic.
I know.
Hello. But they have to learn on their own. They have to learn on their own.
Have to learn on their own. And that trust, that gratitude, that letting go, those are all part of our lessons individually and universally.
Sure. They absolutely are. And they're valuable, very valuable for our soul's growth.
And at this point in your journey in this lifetime, what has been your greatest lesson about finding peace?
So many lessons about finding peace. I think my own accountability in it, though, is the biggest lesson. being accountable for my own actions and how I may have disrupted my own peace, seeing my role in it, knowing that I can't look anywhere else for that peace. No one else is responsible for my peace. It is up to me to find that within self. I think that's my biggest and most hardest lesson I learned. It took me a long time to learn that, because I think we can really continue to yearn and think we're supposed to be looking for it outwardly all the time. And I think one of the greatest things I'm most grateful for is being shown that my peace lies within and that I have access to it anytime I want.
And how has learning that lesson helped you teach others?
I think it's a really empowering lesson. And so my hope is that it has given people the confidence to go within, to know that the power lies, I think Grace just said it, right? The power lies right within you, that you have access to any type of light you want. Yes, it's an inside job, that it's something that lies within you. If I can get people to see that with all of their psychic abilities, healer abilities, intuitive abilities, oh my gosh, my job is getting done then. That's the most exciting part of my job, is watching people's light bulbs go off, thinking like, it's like Dorothy, you know, like you had the power within you all the time, like the magic or something within you all the time, right? It's that feeling. It's like it's right there. Just go within. Just go within.
Like your ruby slippers, you're going to be there.
Yes, just, click them twice.
And so I always like to discuss like what's in your toolbox. So with
my toolbox.
Yes, what's in your toolbox? It's one of my favorite questions.
My spiritual toolbox?
Spiritual toolbox in relation to peace. So put you in a scenario, say you're going live, you're doing a presentation, what have you. A very good example is recently you did the fundraiser for the Patchogue Fire Department.
Yes.
And a good friend of mine, well, two of my friends joined you, but a good friend of mine, Teresa, I know that she can have anxiety and nerves, and she's very good. She's spot on, but that is something, knowing her, yes. I know that it was like every time you said, "How you doing back there?" She was like, "Oh God." I love her.
Teresa and I started classes together. That's how long I've known Teresa. We were in the same first class together. Being in one with my breath work, so I'll take a deep cleansing breath, making connection with my guides. I hear them, bringing them in. You guys are with me. Picture them next to me. I envision them. Bringing in the light, making sure that I am grounded, feeling protected. Of course, moving into a space of trust. I know they're not going to let me down. We're here. And I've done it for so long that it's instinctual. It's like a rapid fire event that takes place for me to just and be at peace with what I'm about to do. Because, especially when I'm about to read a big room like that, my mental body, my physical body, my emotional bodies have stepped aside. So I'm leading with spiritual self is stepping forward. So that helps as well, envisioning that spiritual self coming forward, and we just have to get to work. We have a job to do.
Exactly. Now, how would you help Teresa?
Teresa, I threw her to the wolves. I'm like Pat.
This is how we're going to get you into peace. We're just going to throw you in there.
Exactly what I did. I'm like, come on, you're doing this event with me. Let's go. I've known her. She's a good friend of mine. I've known her a long time too. I think for Teresa, she's come a long way, and I don't want to speak for her, but I've seen this amazing relationship be developed with her abilities, and I'm so proud of her. I think she's a great reader, and she's so much fun. And I think that you just work through those anxiety feelings. I used to have the same with big groups. I would want to like hide under the covers. What I realized was that if we acknowledge that energy as spirit energy showing up, it's actually a really good feeling then. I'm like, ooh, thank God they're here. Phew. Yay!
I'm gonna borrow that. I'm gonna steal that
Yeah,
because
take it.
anytime I get into those situations, I'm a lot like Teresa. Like
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not ready to.
hard.
Oops.
It's
I'm like,
hard. Oh, yes, you are. I'll get you doing groups. The thing is, it's practice makes better. The more you do it, the more validation you get, not only through others, but within yourself, within your own abilities, and the more comfortable you get at it. And I'm not shy of a stage. I enjoy getting out there and having fun with it because part of this is supposed to be fun. And I think that the ego will get in there and want to disrupt your peace. The ego is going to get in there and say, aren't you nervous? Aren't they going to show up? What if they don't show up? What if you don't hear anything? What if this happens? What if this person's not satisfied? We just have to quiet that ego and replace it with those higher vibration thoughts, those peaceful thoughts.
and yes, you are. That's great. You just throw it to the wolves.
That's
That
it.
sometimes the deep end is the best end.
She can handle it.
Best end, and I can totally understand that.
Yeah, of course. Of course. No other way to do it.
Yes. Are there any new books coming out from you?
I have a book in my head. So, yes, I'll say yes. I'm going to speak it into existence. Yes, I would love to write more books. I'm working on one now. It's when it comes up is when it's most authentic, and that's when I start to write. And I hope that it's another helpful book that people can take with them and learn from. It's my hope.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thanks.
And is there any other advice or guidance that you can provide, both spiritually and in gaining peace, or how they go hand in hand? I'll leave that to you.
They definitely go hand in hand. And I think my advice would be when you wake up in the morning and you're expressing gratitude for the fact that your eyes opened that day and you have breath in your lungs, take a nice, beautiful, deep breath into your space and make this a routine. Make this as a daily practice. Peacefulness should be a daily practice in your life. And anything or anyone that tries to disrupt that has no bearing on you unless you allow it. So work your boundaries, know your worth, know that peacefulness is all around you and that you have access to it. And that source, God, light, whatever that is for you, is more than happy to give you peace and abundance, to join you in your peace. So allow yourself to receive that. You deserve that. Don't meet it with resistance. Allow it to come through.
I love that. I'm
Yeah.
going to quote that. I'm gonna look for something to come out on my Facebook or Instagram from you
Thank you.
that says
I
don't
appreciate it.
resist it, welcome it.
That's right. That's right. Welcome it.
So I want to thank MaryAnn. We're going to put MaryAnn back in the green room, and we're going to talk for a couple of seconds. Thank you again, MaryAnn. Hold on tight, just one second.
Thanks for having me.
Yay! I am so grateful. So, again, thank you to MaryAnn DiMarco. She is a wonderful author, medium, teacher. We love her. Definitely look her up. She is MaryAnn the Medium on Instagram and Facebook. Follow her. Wonderful advice there. And this Sunday, we have Jost, the intuitive astrologer, joining me. And then we will have um, Cassandra Vitale, who is a relationship coach, joining us the following Sunday. So mark your calendar for those 2 Sundays, and I'm so grateful you joined us, and have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.